Part 89. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 881. Chapter 881. The person he likes. Wrongly raised his eyebrows, but he was a little worried. He had climbed this kind of rock climbing before, but after all, the terrain was unfamiliar, and the moss was thick and slippery. It was really dangerous. What would Qinhuan do if something happened to him? But Qinhuan said nothing. She refused to let him follow her. It was very difficult to climb a rock and also follow her. It was even more difficult than her. Aerial photography was already fine, so why take risks with the photographer? The rescue team also tried their best to dissuade her. Wrongly frowned, the aerial photography followed her, and I climbed with her beside her. What's the use, Qinhuan said, as long as you help, I will be eliminated. If you are by my side, I will be attached. Wrongly was tickled by these words. When I am by your side, will you feel attached to me? I'm so annoyed anyway, don't follow me. I've just wasted a few minutes talking to you. Qinhuan put on the rock climbing equipment and looked up at the rock wall. She must be able to do it. This is not rock climbing with bare hands, she is using tools. After all, it is very difficult to train a warrior. The participants in this competition are all elites, and the safety of everyone must be ensured. The rock climbing was originally required to be rock climbing with bare hands, but after they came to test it in person, they felt that rock climbing was too difficult with bare hands, so they asked them to use tools. Qinhuan saw that there was no rock climbing equipment at the starting point, so she thought she would install it with bare hands. During the process, she also considered that if she wanted to climb with bare hands, she would go a long way and climb with bare hands. She was still a little nervous about this unfamiliar rock wall, so she had to be careful. If she came down, she would really die. She didn't need to fight desperately, but with the equipment and safety rope, she was not afraid at all. She could complete it to this extent. Wrongly couldn't resist her, so he adjusted the angle of the aerial photography and followed Qinhuan. The aerial footage was very clear. As long as the field of view was wide, the footage was very beautiful. Qinhuan started climbing. The rock wall was really mossy and slippery. If she climbed the rock with bare hands, something would happen. She found it particularly difficult even with tools. Qinhuan climbed halfway through the difficult climb. Someone also arrived in front of the Red Rock Canyon, and they were a group of people. They seemed to have come in a group, and they also saw Qinhuan in mid-air. Someone has already arrived, I thought we would be the first to reach the canyon. Shall we climb the rock, or take a detour? As soon as a male soldier asked this question, Qinhuan stepped on the air and slid down. He fell on the rock wall and fell rapidly. Wrongly was shocked and said, Qinhuan, his aerial photography was automatically set. Followed Qinhuan, but he broke out in a cold sweat. Qinhuan was so frightened that he had a heart attack. The entire rescue team was stunned. Fortunately, Qinhuan had a big heart and quickly adjusted the safety rope, fixed the position, and then adjusted her. The equipment had been climbed halfway through hard work, but now it fell down again and had to start again. Qinhuan's arms were scratched by sharp stones and his clothes were torn. Wrongly was so anxious that he was sweating, but Qinhuan did not hesitate. After adjusting, she continued climbing. She would never make the mistake just now. The contestants in the underground were all broken into cold sweats, wondering if they could have Qinhuan's reflexes or skills like Qinhuan's. Her reaction was considered to be fast. I'll take a detour although it's a bit far, my rock climbing skills are average. I might as well take a detour if I go back and forth several times. Several people decided to take a detour, and 2 people, like Qinhuan, decided to climb rocks and challenge themselves. After Wrongly saw that Qinhuan was stable and his heart returned to normal, a group of people were filming other people. Wrongly also took some shots, and his eyes followed Qin Wan. Qin Wan was sweating all over. The sun was shining brightly, and the sun was shining fiercely on her face. Her eyes were also full of sunshine, hot and strong. She moved forward bravely and did not want to give up. After climbing again, she became more careful and experienced. She also had experience in dealing with the moss. She climbed up at a steady speed and even made a scissor hand gesture to the aerial camera with a bright smile. The background was the dangerous cliffs. But Rong Li was frightened and moved at the same time. This was Qin Wan. Qin Wan will move forward bravely even if there are mountains of swords and seas of fire. What he loves most is the vitality and courage in her. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 882. Chapter 882. Am I number 1? Qin Wan climbed to the top of the red rock peak without any danger, and reached the top. He successfully arrived at the check-in point. The rest of the journey was not very thrilling, but it was more energy-consuming. Qin Wan felt that swimming and climbing over the mountain were more difficult than rock climbing. She felt much more relaxed, and she also increased her speed. Rong Li kept following her, choosing the best angle to take pictures of her, recording her first and perhaps last fixed-point cross-country trip. Qin Wan had long said, the competition in the war zone is relatively difficult, much higher than the military games. She will participate this time, and she will not participate in the future, and her physical fitness will become increasingly difficult to keep up. When Qin Wan was swimming, Rong Li was on a boat, which made her jealous. Rong Li even took photos in front of him on the boat. Qin Wan almost threw water in his face. She changed positions several times, and the physical exertion of rock climbing was its really big. Rong Li also secretly told her that the two people were still climbing. They fell several times and failed to climb up. After she crossed the river, one of them climbed to the top of the mountain. This was considered fast. Many people later chose to climb. As long as if someone succeeds, they will set an example in the future. Soldiers have a heart that refuses to admit defeat. If others can do it, so can I, and the first one to pass is the technical soldier. How could they admit defeat? Naturally, they also feel that they can climb rocks too. Although Qin Wan didn't know the ranking, she vaguely knew that she should be number 1. She had played these events when she was young and was particularly good at them, so she participated in the competition. The itinerary after swimming is simpler. The most difficult part is the rock climbing in Kangmu Mountain and the canyon. The route design is quite reasonable. If Kangmu Mountain and rock climbing are not put together but cross each other, then more physical energy needs to be allocated. Qin Wan: during the last part of the journey to the destination, I could no longer walk, I was really exhausted. Rong Li couldn't help but said, let's take a break. The last fixed point was at the top. Qin Wan was very tired after checking in all the time. He relied on a piece of wood all the way down the mountain. He was panting from exhaustion and obviously couldn't move any further. She wanted to rest, but there was only a little way left, so she had to grit her teeth and persevere to the end. Rong Li reminded her to take a rest. Just as she was about to sit down, she suddenly felt the world spinning. She stepped on the wrong foot and fell straight down. Rong Li almost dropped his camera. Qin Wan almost lost consciousness after the fall. She was extremely tired, but her energy was not dead. She held on for a breath, and blood fell from her forehead to her eyes. Rong Li was going to help her, but Qin Wan raised his hand and said, "No, don't touch me." As soon as he made a move, she was eliminated and she didn't need help. Rong Li felt distressed and helpless. Qin Wan got up in pain. She really had no strength at all. She took out half a piece of chocolate that was about to melt from her pocket and ate it wholeheartedly. "Can you see it?" Rong Li squatted down and asked. Qin Wan wiped away her blood with his hands. Half of his face was covered in blood, which looked very scary. Rong Li felt extremely distressed, but there was nothing he could do. He could not touch Qin Wan until the end. Rong Li couldn't help but think, this is her life. Where he can't see her, she may be working harder and more tired than this. When she first met Qin Wan, she was obviously a bohemian girl with an unstable sense of right and wrong. Unexpectedly, she now wants to protect her family and country. If you want to build the motherland, it doesn't matter even if you are generating electricity for love, even if you suffer all the hardships. Qin Wan leaned back against the rock wall and said softly, it really doesn't matter to me. Handsome photographer, don't worry about it, okay. When I get some rest, I will be a lively and heroic man again. If you bleed for another minute, you'll be a mummy, my good man. Qin Wan smiled and said, are you distressed? Rong Li raised his eyebrows, the camera is filming. What are you afraid of? Just delete it. I feel like I'm half resurrected. Qin Wan struggled to get up, picked up the wooden stick that had been thrown out, and slowly pushed himself down the mountain. There were people waiting at the bottom of the mountain. When he saw the blood on Qin Wan's face, he was shocked. Military doctor, military doctor. Someone called the military doctor over, but Qin Wan waved her hand and asked, am I number one? Everybody. As soon as Qin Wan passed the finish line, Rong Li turned off the camera and picked her up, no matter what, first look at the injuries. Qin Wan had no strength at all, but he still didn't forget to turn around and shout, tell me, am I number one? I wish you all a happy New Year's Eve, good health, and all the best in the new year. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 883. Chapter 883, Make a Promise, Don't Regret It. Rong Li wanted to catch her and beat her up, but she still cared about who was the first. However, Qin Wan felt that after the competition, whether she was the first was very important. When the military doctor treated her injury, she kept asking if she was the first. One Rong Li was helpless and asked in the group. Someone had already reached the finish line and was seriously injured. He was a few minutes behind Qin Wan. Qin Wan was indeed first. Yes, you are number one, that's it? Yeah, Qin Wan gestured excitedly, as if she had been injected with chicken blood. The military doctor was giving her stitches. He was startled when she was about to jump up. Rong Li held her shoulders down and told her not to jump. He said with a very dark face, don't move. Qin Wan, who won the first place, was very happy and didn't care about Rong Li's tone. She smiled so hard that she couldn't see her teeth. She raised her head and said to Rong Li, I'm happy. Please understand. Rong Li understood, but he felt sorry for her injuries. In order to win the first place, she had several blood marks on her body and a bruise on her forehead. When the military doctor saw her, he thought she would have to lie down for at least half a month. Who knew that the examination revealed that she was all covered in flesh and blood? I was injured, and I was able to jump around in one day, which was considered relatively good. Later, I was sent to the hospital with a broken bone. In the end, everyone basically had no strength, and they just stepped on the air and rolled down to break the bone. After Qin Wan got the stitches, nothing serious happened. The entire technical team was paying attention to the game, and there was progress on the big screen. They were overjoyed and came to Qin Wan excitedly, only to find that Qin Wan was not at the camp. The military doctor said, she was slightly injured, nothing serious, and was taken away by the photographer. Photographer, what photographer? Is there still a separate interview? The photographer is not doing the interview, the reporters are ready, and I didn't see her being interviewed. Everyone searched for a long time but could not find Qinhuan. Qinhuan and Rongli were looking at the scenery on the top of the mountain. This place was not a competition area, and almost no one passed by. The lighting was very good, and the view was also very good. They could see many people walking around in the camp, and they could also see the mountains not far away. At the lake, Rongli and Qinhuan sat side by side on the rocks to bask in the sun and look at the scenery, very leisurely. Does it still hurt? It really doesn't hurt. This little injury is nothing. Mao Yu. Qinhuan waved her hands cheerfully, not caring about the injury at all, and said with a smile, everything will be fine tomorrow. You have 6 stitches on your forehead. 6 needles are nothing. Oh, don't talk about it. You are letting down the good scenery and sunshine. Qinhuan poked his cheek with an itchy hand. Don't be so stern. You already look fierce, so having a stern face is scary. I look fierce. Didn't anyone say that? Rongli snorted coldly, who dares to say? I still remember that I was angry when I saw you and Xiaomin for the first time. I misunderstood you at that time, and the more I looked at you, the more unhappy I became. The more I looked at you, the more I found you unpleasant. You may be very sensitive and noticed the surveillance and looked over. At that time, I had a feeling, fierce. It was very fierce. What did Xiaomin like about you? He was so crazy that he betrayed us for you. Qinhuan mentioned the first time she monitored Rong Li. When she went to monitor Xiaomin, her eyes fell on Rong Li. In fact, from the first time she saw Rong Li, her eyes were attracted to Rong Li. Whether it was good or bad, it was always an attraction. Because of this confusion and incomprehension, I got to know him. Although the prejudice lasted for many years, the prejudice gradually disappeared. After having children, it was a complete reversal. Who would have thought of that? Fate is really wonderful. Bringing up Xiaomin again. She is an unavoidable topic. If it weren't for Xiaomin, you and I would have never interacted. Qinhuan told the truth. The master wants to monitor Black Eagle's people. Ji Sun has done it himself. I can't keep an eye on Third Master. At most, if you find some clues and let me deal with them, you won't go out, so you and I will naturally have no intersection. You have to thank her. If it weren't for her, how would we know each other? Rongli frowned. That's not necessarily true. Since Ji Sun and Zhang Junlin have become friends, it is more likely that we will get to know each other. Maybe we don't have so many years of prejudice. Prejudice is also mutual. You are also prejudiced against me. I was wrong. Rongli readily admitted his mistake. Qinhuan laughed and looked at the soldiers in camouflage uniforms coming down from the mountain, but she felt a dull feeling in her heart. She didn't feel that she was great. She chose this career and needed her family to bear the separation. Rongli will feel aggrieved and lonely. Qinhuan knew that Rongli was ready, and so was she. Rongli, you made a promise, don't go back on it. Moi. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 884. Chapter 884. The happy vacation begins. Qinhuan had a 3-day holiday on May 1st because he had to go to the Northeastern Defense Project. He had a lot of preparation work. He only had time to go home to see the baby, and flew away after having a meal with Rong Li. In name, he had a 3-day holiday, but in fact he didn't get it. When it was time to rest, Rong Li was mentally prepared. He was not even qualified to send her to the airport. She went with the army, and all the technical staff set off at the base. Qinhuan came and went in a hurry, especially the babies. Rong Li said, when you come back, I will pick you up. Okay. Since the last competition, the two made a long-distance relationship and started a long-distance relationship. Ji Sun complained about the cowherd and the weaver girl, and they fell in love once a year. Wrongly enjoyed it, and if there were regrets, of course he had them, but the happiness diluted the regrets, and the child's cuteness allowed him to afford this emotion. Wrongly felt that he was lucky. Some people meet the right person at the wrong time, and some people meet the wrong person at the right time. He and Chinwan are in love and can get married. It is an excellent marriage in the world, even if it doesn't happen. Knowing what the future holds, he also feels that he is really lucky. He has a family. From May 1st to September, only a few months passed very quickly. Chinwan's project was quite special. His mobile phone was almost always closed. There were only 3 hours a week. Chinwan almost spent all of it talking to Rong. Lee made a phone call and had a video chat with the babies. Lee also has things to do, taking his baby out to play, and Black Hawk's business territory has expanded. He and Ji-sun are both ambitious men. They want to consolidate the strength of the Black Hawk consortium, but they do not allow Lu Ziwen to retire. Xiao Ci is so busy in the hospital every day. You are not newlyweds. Third master, how can you lie down every day? You are the youngest. It is absolutely not okay for you to bring bad atmosphere to the team and kill our ambition. Yes, so you have to get involved and let's work together to take down the Hualan consortium. Lu Ziwen looked at Ji-sun speechlessly. Does Zhang Junlin know that you have such a lofty ambition? Third master, it's so good. What's wrong with my brother? In short, don't be too lazy. If you continue to be lazy, I will learn from him. Li is miserable enough, so let's not make it more difficult for him. Lu Ziwen watched him talk nonsense for a long time and was speechless, but it was indeed not easy to be a salty fish. Black Eagle also had his hard work. He didn't expect that his dream of retiring at the age of 30 would be shattered like this. The key is that Gu Ci is too busy. Chinwan is also busy. He is glad that Gu Ci does not have such lofty ideals as Chinwan, otherwise he would be the cowherd in the Magpie Bridge story. As September approaches, Li leaves most of his work to Ji Xian and Lu Ziwen. They are also considerate. Recently, Dabao and Erbao have learned to walk. Li also has a new hobby. He likes to lead them while walking. The baby's bone development is not yet included. Very good, walking is awkward and unstable. Li falls. Li likes to hold them while they walk, and then suddenly let go. Dabao and Erbao fall after taking a few steps if they can't stand still. The two babies look very awkward at first sight. Children who can withstand falls do not cry even after falling, but get up and continue running. Li is in front of them with baby snacks to tempt them. Dabao can walk and crawl for more than 20 meters, which is particularly fun. He records the baby's growth videos for Chinwan every few days. Chinwan doesn't go back often, but every time he has time, he makes a video call to see the baby. When will you come back and I will pick you up? Chinwan was about to speak but stopped, and Li had a bad premonition in his heart. Is there something unexpected? Chinwan hesitated, and Li's heart dropped. Everyone would be disappointed if the originally agreed vacation was gone, but Li didn't say anything more. But he was asked to say that work is important and the country is important against his will. He said not exported. Unexpectedly, on the morning of September 2nd, the busy Chinwan unexpectedly appeared at Universal. When Li opened the door and saw her, he was surprised and shocked. Didn't something happen? When will I change my mind about what I promised? Chinwan smiled heartily, suddenly jumped up and hugged him. I missed me so much, but I finally have someone alive to hold on to. Li. Finished on the 5th day of the Lunar New Year. Shall I write another update? End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 885. Chapter 885 Finale. Chinwan and Li's marriage application had already been submitted, and it was approved before Chinwan even took vacation. She originally tried to report it, but if it wasn't approved, she would think of a way. Even if it was approved, it didn't mean that it would be approved immediately. She originally thought she would be dragged into a conversation, but she asked when she would get married. Chinwan was very generous and hadn't decided yet. She would try to get married early next year. But the next day after she came back from vacation, she took Rong Li Feng Huo to get the marriage certificate. Once the Civil Affairs Bureau stamped it, everything was settled. Chinwan and Rong Li didn't say anything to anyone. They took the babies on their honeymoon trip. Chinwan wanted to take a confinement nanny with him just in case, but Rong Li didn't want a confinement nanny to follow him. He was not a novice baby. Seeing how confident he looked, Chinwan didn't insist. The two of them packed up and took the baby on the trip. Chinwan arranged to travel for 20 days during the one-month holiday. The weather in the north was very cool in September, so Chinwan and Rong Li went to the north first. Black Eagle has built a resort in the north, right under the snow-capped mountains. The resort is well run and is only more than an hour's drive from the grasslands and deserts. Many people come to vacation in summer. The weather is cool under the snow-capped mountains, and you can enjoy the snow and cool off. Being able to make tea, Chinwan had just come back from the hot south, and vacationing here was in her heart. Rong Li didn't rush her planned schedule, and she would leave when she felt comfortable. Chinwan stayed at the resort for 3 days, and she still not enough accommodation. The two of them put on down jackets and snow-capped mountains for their children. Less than a minute after Rong Li posted the photo, North called and scolded Chinwan, telling her to take the children down the mountain quickly and not to leave. It was freezing on the snow-capped mountains. Ever since they took their children on a trip, North's heart had been hanging. At that time, she strongly suggested that they bring a confinement nanny, fearing that they would be in a hurry. Chinwan had never gotten along with children. Although Rong Li was reliable, after all they are two babies, always afraid of something going wrong. Chinwan boasted that he could keep an eye on Ji Xian back then and never miss such a big target. What could happen if he kept an eye on the two babies? North was so angry and flustered that he couldn't explain to her. He was very helpless. Now he saw that she actually brought the baby to the hospital. Snow-capped mountains, and even riding the ladder to heaven, I felt relieved. Chen Liangdong also called Rong Li and asked him to take the child down the mountain. Rong Li said that he had brought him down the mountain a long time ago. It was a morning photo. He posted it at noon. In fact, he took the children to see the scenery for a while and then came down. Students started school in September and there were fewer people in the scenic area. They took the children up the mountain smoothly. Yes, although there are no activities for children to play. After coming down the mountain, Rong Li changed the children's clothes and always paid attention to their body temperature. Fortunately, the baby was strong and had no accidents. He even had a good time. And Erbao called daddy for the first time. Chinwan was so jealous that the first thing the baby called was not mom, but dad, which made her very jealous, but she was also balanced. After all, Rong Li spent more time with the baby than she did, so after the second baby called dad, Chinwan started teaching them to call mommy like a repeater, hoping that the baby would be able to call mommy before her vacation was over. Erbao speaks a little faster than Dabao, with clear enunciation and a particularly loud voice. Chinwan said, "The second treasure looks smarter than his elder brother." Dabao didn't know what his mother said. He thought she was praising him, so he clapped happily. His chubby cheeks were particularly endearing. Chinwan felt cute when he saw it. They spent 5 days in the resort, visiting grasslands and deserts. They also took the kids to flower fields and saw the unique landforms in the north. They took many photos. With the resort as the center, they visited almost all the surrounding areas. As soon as the babies started to learn to walk, they were supported by their parents and took many beautiful photos. Wrongly specially took a camera to record their travel life. Even if the babies have no memory, they can still watch the video in the future. This side is a little more desolate, but the scenery is very beautiful. Most of it is natural scenery, natural and beautiful. Wrongly and Qinhuan took their children to travel to the central part. Neither Chen Liangdong nor North knew that they were married. This time they got married, and the two of them hid it from everyone. Everyone thought that Qinhuan wanted to have a space alone with the babies, so they didn't care much, as long as they came back when the babies were 1 year old. Chen Liangdong had an old comrade in the Civil Affairs Bureau. After he retired, he set up a few banquets and invited his family. The old comrades in arms came to get together, have a few drinks, and after 3 drinks, they all said a lot of auspicious words. "Old Chen, I almost forgot to ask when your daughter plans to hold a banquet. We are all waiting to drink this glass of wedding wine. It's early, I haven't even written the Chinese character horoscope yet." The old comrade drank too much and blurted out at the same time, "Everyone has obtained the certificate, and the raw rice and cooked rice are ready." "Who has received the certificate?" "Qinhuan." "Chen Liangdong." This news instantly stirred up a hornet's nest. Chen Liangdong hurriedly checked the files. Sure enough, he found Qinhuan's files. He was registered as married. Good guy, his daughter was married. His old father didn't know. Chen Liangdong was so angry that he wanted to do it for the first time. He grabbed Qinhuan and beat him up. Qinhuan was confident, "Let me tell you, we will definitely have to hold a banquet and go through the procedures, and I will definitely not be allowed to travel to get married. My vacation is only 1 month, and I have to spend it on socializing. It is better to take the baby out to play, and it can be regarded as a travel wedding, taking wedding photos, trying on wedding dresses, and all the tedious things to do with the guest list gave me a headache, so I just didn't want to do it." "Is it your idea or Wrongly's?" "He has no objection to my idea. The banquet is for outsiders to see. There is no need. I just want to be happy myself." "You're confused, you held a banquet and took a wedding leave. I have plenty of time for you to prepare." "No," Qinhuan sighed, "Colonel Lin said that I have to go to the National Defense Project on time, and the wedding will be postponed until next year. I'm going to get married this year, and I won't be given wedding leave until next year. I made this temporary decision, and he can only arrange it this way, so I plan to travel and get married. If you want to have a wedding banquet next year, we can do it." Chen Liangdong. Every decision was so outrageous that he was speechless for a moment. Wrongly was dumbfounded as he listened. He really didn't care at all whether there was a wedding banquet or not. As a man, he only cares about his own interests and welfare. It is much better for the family to travel happily than to have a banquet and socialize. He is also very like. Qinhuan told his family about the marriage, and Wrongly confessed to Ji Sun and Lu Ziwen. Ji Sun. Lu Ziwen. Wrongly has always been a person who can hide things. He hid his marriage from everyone, and didn't reveal any information. Ji Sun and Lu Ziwen were very talkative and asked when the wedding banquet would be held. Wrongly was not sure. He didn't really want to hold a wedding banquet, but it depends on Qinhuan's intention. "Next year, there's no rush." Ji Sun said with a smile, "We will do it together next September, and my child can be a flower girl for them, right?" Wrongly, "Good idea. Ji Sun, you should be praised." Lu Ziwen, "I think it will work. It will save you the trouble of looking for a flower girl. I just thought about it and didn't think of anyone who has children." Everybody. The topic naturally got sidetracked. After both hung up the phone, they looked at each other and smiled. The two of them took the baby to the hotel in the afternoon. This time they were at the beach. After the sun was no longer so fierce, the two of them took a rest and took the baby to play on the beach. The baby has a natural love for the beach, whether it is a big baby or a small one. Babies all like to play on the beach. Dabeo and Erbeo are very happy crawling on the beach. Chinwan was still childish and drew a love heart on the beach, simply drawing a family of 4. Rongli also painted with her. The sunset made the entire beach extremely beautiful. The babies smiled brightly behind them and played with the sand carefree. Rongli liked this kind of simple and peaceful happiness. After the two of them finished drawing, Chinwan held him in her arms and said with a smile, "I've already regressed as a painter. Indeed, draw me as tall as you." Chinwan laughed heartily. Rongli leaned over and kissed her on the lips. "Mom," Dabeo called out to his mother crisply. Chinwan turned around in surprise. "Hey, Mom is here." "Daddy," Erbeo still called Daddy, excitedly reaching out for Rongli to hug him. Rongli smiled and said, "Daddy is coming to hug you right now." Look, life, isn't it just such a picture? Warm and calm. The extra chapter is also coming to an end. Thank you all for accompanying us all the way. End of this chapter.